The invasion begins. For centuries, Earth had been a blip on the radar of the cosmos, insignificant, unnoticed, and largely ignored by the advanced civilizations that roamed the stars. But when the Zorath, a brutal and technologically superior alien empire, set their sights on the planet, they thought they were simply adding another conquest to their list. They had already crushed hundreds of civilizations, and Earth, with its primitive technology and fractured political system, seemed like an easy target. Their arrival was swift and merciless. Massive warships, like colossal shadows, descended from the heavens, blocking out the sun. The world's major cities were targeted with overwhelming force. Thousands of people perished in the initial bombardment, their homes and lives turned to rubble. The Zoroth had been here before. Militarily superior, they believed it would be no different. Governments scrambled to respond, launching their best missiles and jets into the sky, only to be torn apart by the aliens' advanced weapons. Within a day, Earth's global defenses were shattered. The Zoroth declared victory before the dust had even settled. Soldiers and civilians alike were rounded up and herded into makeshift prisons. It was only then that the Zoroth began to notice something they couldn't comprehend. Humanity was not afraid. The alien commanders, accustomed to seeing their enemies beg for mercy, were taken aback. The humans, bruised and broken, looked up at them with nothing but defiance in their eyes. The fearless resistance. The Zoroth had long believed that fear was the ultimate weapon in any conquest. Fear would break a civilization down, make them pliable, and ultimately ensure their submission. But on Earth, the opposite was happening. The more the humans were beaten, the stronger their defiance grew. In the holding cells, surrounded by towering alien guards, the humans stood tall, even when shackled. One such prisoner, Emily, had been a teacher before the invasion. She had witnessed the fall of her country and the deaths of loved ones, but she never once faltered. When she was thrown into a dimly lit cell, her body bruised and bloodied, she looked around and saw the same steely resolve in her fellow captives. They weren't crying, pleading, or even showing the slightest hint of fear. They were waiting for the moment when they could strike back. High General Thrax, a towering Zoroth leader, made his way through the prison camp, his sharp eyes scanning the humans. His people were ruthless conquerors, used to seeing their enemies break under pressure. He stopped in front of Emily's cell, leaning down to look her directly in the eye. "You should be terrified. Your planet is ours now. Your lives are forfeit." Thrax growled, his voice a low rumble that echoed off the walls. Emily didn't flinch. "We've been through worse," she said simply. "We don't break." Thrax's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, he felt a spark of unease. There was no begging for mercy, no desperation in her voice, only the quiet strength of someone who refused to accept defeat. A strength beyond the physical. The Zoroth had conquered hundreds of planets in their time. They were a race of beings who understood the importance of strength, both physical and technological. Their weapons were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their ships could incinerate entire cities with a single blast. Their soldiers were faster, stronger, and more durable than any human soldier could ever hope to be. To them, victory was a matter of overwhelming force. No species had ever stood against them for long. Yet as they interrogated the humans, something began to dawn on them. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving in the face of adversity. Emily and her fellow prisoners spoke of their planet's history, of wars fought and lost, of famines and plagues, and yet the human race had never given up. They had rebuilt their world after each setback, emerging stronger each time. The more the Zoroth questioned them, the more they realized that humanity's true strength wasn't in physical power, it was in their resilience. Their ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow from each challenge was what set them apart. Thrax began to understand that even if the Zoroth obliterated every city on Earth, even if they slaughtered every soldier and every civilian, they could not kill the one thing that made humans dangerous: their spirit. Humanity had survived countless catastrophes, from world wars to pandemics, and emerged stronger each time. What made them truly dangerous wasn't their weapons, but their capacity to evolve, to learn from their mistakes, and to come back from the brink. The turning point, the Zoroth were caught off guard by a shift that was happening within their own ranks. The human prisoners, once considered helpless, were starting to rally together. They spoke in hushed tones, their conversations filled with determination. They were learning from their circumstances, planning and strategizing in ways that bewildered the Zoroth. The Zoroth, underestimating the humans, thought they could simply break their bodies and spirits. But the more they pressed, the more the humans resisted. Emily, a symbol of this growing resistance, was among the first to speak out. She began to organize the prisoners, sharing stories of Earth's past rebellions, of times when humanity had been pushed to the brink, only to rise up again. One night, as the Zoroth guards stood watch, the prisoners began to sing, a simple song of unity and defiance. It was a human song, a song that had been passed down through generations, a song that carried the weight of the human spirit. As the song echoed through the holding cells, a strange thing happened. The Zoroth began to feel an unfamiliar sensation. It wasn't fear, but it was something close, unease. They had never faced an enemy who didn't bow before their might. They had never encountered a species that could resist, not through physical force, but through sheer willpower. The Zoroth had underestimated the power of human resolve. The ultimate price as the resistance among the humans grew. Thrax made a desperate move. He issued an ultimatum. Earth would be destroyed unless the humans surrendered completely. His fleet of warships surrounded the planet, ready to deliver a final, crushing blow. The humans had no intention of surrendering. Emily's voice became the rallying cry of Earth's defiance. She knew the Zoroth had underestimated them, but she also knew that Earth's people were ready to die for their freedom. What the Zoroth hadn't realized was that humanity had been shaped by millennia of survival against impossible odds. Fear was not enough to control them. "Your threats mean nothing," Emily said, facing Thrax directly. "You can destroy our cities, but you cannot break us. You may have the power to kill us, but you will never have the power to destroy our spirit." The Zoroth, in their desperation, began to question the very foundations of their empire. They had relied on terror to subjugate species, but terror had no power over the humans. It was their defiance that made Earth dangerous. The final stand-in, a last-ditch attempt to break the human resistance, the Zoroth launched a full-scale assault on Earth's last remaining strongholds. Cities were bombarded from orbit, and ground forces moved in to crush the final pockets of human resistance. But the humans refused to buckle. The final battle took place in the heart of Earth's largest city, where Emily and her fellow fighters made their last stand. The Zoroth soldiers poured in, their weapons firing relentlessly. But the humans fought back with every ounce of strength they had, using the terrain to their advantage, setting traps, and employing guerrilla tactics. What the Zoroth hadn't accounted for was how quickly the humans adapted to the changing environment, making the most of their surroundings. In the midst of the chaos, Emily stood tall, rallying the survivors. Her defiance and her refusal to submit were the spark that ignited humanity's final push. The Zoroth, faced with a species that refused to back down, began to falter. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now they were paying the price. The rebirth of Earth, the Zoroth were forced into retreat. They had lost. Earth, though scarred and battered, had emerged victorious. The invaders had underestimated the power of the human spirit, and they would never make that mistake again. Humanity rebuilt their cities and their world. They began to spread across the stars. No longer a defenseless species, Earth became a beacon of hope to other civilizations. The Zoroth had fallen, and the galaxy had learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate humanity. The survivors of Earth, those who had stood tall in the face of certain destruction, were now the leaders of a new era. They knew that their planet had risen from the ashes, and that nothing, not even the most powerful empire in the galaxy, could ever again threaten their home. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and the sea, unbreakable will of its people. And as humanity looked to the stars, they knew that their place in the galaxy was assured.